Your team is not performing as you expect. Your team is not performing as required. Your team is just not up to that standard that you are expecting. Is it your fault? Whose fault is it? You do want to listen in for the next few minutes if you have been experiencing this in your business. So, as the owner, the CEO, you want to make sure that you are not setting up your team to fail. And it can happen without you even realizing it. And that is why it's so important that you position your team in that way that they are, expected and able to succeed. They're able to really perform to that high standard that you have set, maintaining the reputation of your company, your business. So a lot of times there are certain reasons that can lead to your team not performing, that can set up your team to fail. And a couple of reasons we'll discuss for the next little while, these aren't related to the individual themselves, where there might be some, issues with how they learn. Those are internal internal factors, which we're not going to talk about today. That's a whole different live, a whole different area. However, I do want us to just talk a little bit about ways in which you are setting up your team to fail. The first one is where your team members are not clear about what is expected of them, what they're expected to deliver, what are their deliverables. It's not clear. You might be thinking, okay, they are going to review this report, they're going to do this task in this way, and it's not clear. And also, there are times where they are not only unsure about what is it that they are supposed to do, their deliverables, they are also not clear about how they are supposed to do it. What is the process? What are the steps in which they get certain tasks, certain items done? And that will lead to confusion. It will lead to underperformance by your team members. And then, of course, it's chaos and just a more stressful situation in your company, in your business. And oftentimes, when this happens, I heard a quote, I forgot the name of the book I was reading, and it talks about that when you see certain issues happening, you can always trace it back to the head, trace it back to the leader, trace it back to the CEO, trace it back. So in other words, it's always important to look at yourself as a CEO, the owner, to see how have I contributed to this? Are there any gaps in what I am doing, any ways to improve what I'm doing, how I'm doing things to ensure that my team is supported? So a lot of times, again, this will happen where you're operating your business, your company in your head. This is what's expected. This is what's required. However, your team is not clear. And yes, your team members should have initiative. However, that's a whole different conversation. So one of the things that can happen is that you are expecting your team to perform a certain task in a sequence. 1, 2, 3, 4. These are the steps. This is what, you're expected to do this. These are the things that are involved in getting this job done properly. However, your team members are not clear about that. They might be saying, okay, I did it this way. It's like, there's some persons who they clean differently. So they'll be like, okay, I cleaned, kids, you have that with little ones, like, you cleaned your room. Yeah, I cleaned my room. And you go and things are all over. And in their mind, I cleaned it. So they're not clear about the standard that is expected of them. So in the same way, you want to ensure that your team members are clear about the standard, the process. How is this supposed to be done? What is the standard of my company? What is the standard of my business to ensure that this is done in the correct way, the way that, as a CEO, as a leader, as the owner, you're expecting this to be done in this way. Another thing is, I'll touch on this quickly. The last thing is that there are times where they are not clear about what is the output to be. So yes, you might say, okay, did you review this? Did you check this? Have you monitored this? And they'll say yes. However, they're not even clear that they need to formulate a report. They need to give some feedback. So always be clear with your team about what is expected as the deliverable, what are they, the output, what are they supposed to do, and how they are supposed to do it. And you're going to find that as these processes are clear and effective, you're going to see the performance of your team improving. And you do know that the more your team performs in an efficient and effective manner, it does impact your numbers. It impacts your profit. It's like a snowball impact. So you do want to be on top of, ensuring that your team is not being set up to fail by you. If you do have any questions or comments, you can leave them in the chat. You can feel free to reach out to me. If you're not too sure, okay, I don't even know where to start with getting my team, organized, trained. I'm not even sure how to ensure that they are clear what they're supposed to do. How do I get this process that is in my head clear for my team to understand? I'll be happy to have a chat with you to go through that process and support you in ensuring that your team is set up to succeed and not to fail. Do remember, if you have any questions or comments, feel free to share in the comments as well. And you can send me a direct message. And also remember to share this video, share this broadcast. We are a community, a team, and it is so important to be supporting each other in these times. So signing off in 3, 2, 1. Bye, everyone.